So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News and Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a short span of time. Now, needless to say this, revision is extremely important just after watching this lecture, because if you don't revise this lecture from the notes provided by us, these current affairs would quickly skip your memory. Therefore, make it a point that you revise this lecture from the notes provided by us on our Telegram channel. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section just below this video. Alright then, let's begin today's discussion. But first, let's take a look at the list of topics that we shall cover today. So let's begin. So daily current affairs, 30th December, Tuesday, and here is the topics list. Number one on this list is rising prices of copper and silver. So what are the reasons behind this phenomena globally? That copper is rising, the prices, silver is rising, and we all know about gold. Gold has become extremely expensive. So we'll talk about this. Then, a new technique has come out through which methane emissions from paddy fields can be reduced. So we'll talk about this technique, okay, and how farmers can earn extra income by doing this. We'll talk about this. Then topic number 3 is related to Narsapuram lace craft, okay. It is related to art and culture, art and crafts of India. Then topic number 4 is again related to art and culture because it talks about tribal language, Santhali language and script. And topic number 5 is related to Defence Acquisition Council of India, okay. Now, topic number 1 is related to economics portion of your UPSC syllabus. Topic number 2, environment portion. Topic number 3 and topic number 4, both are related to art and culture portion of your UPSC syllabus. And topic number 5 is well related to policy and governance, roundabout polity portion of your UPSC syllabus. Okay, so these are the 5 news items. Let's start discussing them one by one, starting with topic number 1, and that is rising copper and silver. So we all must have heard about gold. The prices of gold have been rising for so many years now, okay? Like for past couple of years, gold has skyrocketed. But it's not just gold. Other metals like copper and silver, their prices have also reached record heights. Now, this phenomena is happening globally, okay? Now, through this article, we will basically focus on the key drivers of this price rise. Why are the prices of these essential metals rising? Okay, so we'll mostly focus on the economic drivers of this high price rise. Okay, that's about it. We won't basically go anywhere out of this topic, just focus on the economic drivers. Okay, so let's begin. So rising copper and silver. So what was in the news? Copper prices hit a record over $12,000 per ton. This is the exchange market in December, surging 35% yearly. Okay, these are the reasons, and this similar thing happened with silver prices. Now, what are the key drivers? What are the reasons behind this? Number 1, Trump tariffs. Because Trump applied 50% tariff on copper imports. Now, because Trump said that I would apply 50% tariffs on copper, that meant that copper would become expensive in USA. Therefore, what did importers of USA started doing? Well, they started hoarding copper. They started buying copper before these 50% tariffs kick in. So hoarding of copper started. Similar thing happened with silver as well. Okay, so because of the threat of Trump tariffs and because of the threat that copper imports and silver imports would become expensive, well, traders, importers started hoarding it. So they increased the demand because they wanted to hoard copper. Okay, and that increased demand caused increased prices. Okay, same thing happened with silver because for silver, USA basically said that it belongs to the critical minerals list. So critical minerals also have certain protective tariffs. So importers started buying silver and copper in very large quantities before this tariff kicks in. So that increased artificial demand for this. So this was one reason. Then US dollar was also weakening. Okay, so when US dollar weakens, US traders find it expensive to import stuff. Whenever US dollar weakens, imports in USA become expensive. Now, US dollar was going to get further weakened. So these importers, again, taking signal from this that US dollar is going to get weak again, imports are going to become expensive again. So let's start hoarding now. So this is again artificial increase in demand. Then supply disruptions. Okay, there were certain major accidents in copper mines, silver mines, which reduced supply. And as you all know, that prices are basically the interplay of forces of demand and supply. Demand was being artificially increased because of Trump tariffs and US dollar weakening, and supply reduced because of major accidents in various mines. Okay, so this is the reason, and many other demand factors. Now, Trump tariffs and US dollars, well, they increased demand artificially, but demand was also increasing because of genuine reasons as well. Now, what are those genuine reasons? Well, you all know that AI is rising, and AI is powered by data centers. Data centers require a lot of copper. So already demand for copper was high because of this boom in data centers. Plus, silver is used in basically electric vehicles and many other products. So electric vehicle manufacturing is also increasing. Demand for silver is also increasing. So these are the four major reasons. Now, because of such high prices of copper and silver, what is happening to the global economy? The impact. So higher costs for AI data centers, electric vehicles and power grids. You all know that electricity requires copper wires. So electricity expansion was happening, copper wires demand was increasing, okay, and that is why copper price increased, okay. Now all of these things would become expensive and businesses would find it difficult to bear these costs. This would lead to delayed projects, job risks and all. Manufacturing slowdown would also occur, especially in case of electric vehicles and many other things that require copper and silver, okay. Import dependent economies like India see 5 to 12% silver premiums, fueling local inflation and reduced industrial output. Why reduced industrial output? Because input cost of those industries which use copper and silver as raw materials, their input cost would increase. So it would lead to industrial slowdown. Okay, slowdown in clean energy transition, because most of these technologies that are there for clean energy like renewable energy, solar cells, electric vehicles, they require copper silver. So it would lead to slowdown in clean energy transition as well. Now people are saying that supply would come back in 2026, so this would ease some prices. Demand is pretty high, but supply would catch up. But that is just a prediction. Future is full of volatility, uncertainty. Okay, so this is the thing. All right, let's conclude this topic at this point only. That's all you need to know. Now let's quickly shift our focus to second news item, and that is methane emissions from paddy fields. Now, those of you who are familiar with how rice is grown in these paddy fields which are for growing rice. Okay. Now, how do we grow rice? We basically submerge rice fields underwater. Okay. Now, these rice fields are submerged underwater for very long periods of time. That leads to development of anaerobic bacteria under the soil. Okay, because rice fields are submerged, so there is lack of oxygen at the soil level. Okay, anaerobic bacteria rises, and because of this anaerobic movement, anaerobic biological activity, a lot of methane is emitted. Okay, now methane is a greenhouse gas which has a higher greenhouse gas potential than even carbon dioxide. So agriculture, growth of rice is contributing to global warming. Now, when you tell farmers to stop submerging their fields for rice cultivation, or you encourage farmers to stop growing rice, they don't listen to you. Because why would they listen to you? They want to earn money. It's their right to earn money. Okay, they want to run their households. So how to encourage farmers to reduce greenhouse gas emissions? Well, now there is a technique through which farmers can grow rice. Nothing would happen to their rice yield. Okay, plus greenhouse gas emissions would get reduced, and they can earn extra money also by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. The amount of greenhouse gas, the amount of methane they will reduce, they will earn carbon credits for that. And those carbon credits would be sold to industries from which they can earn money. So now they would be encouraged to use this technique to reduce methane emissions. Okay, so it's a win-win-win situation. Now, what is this technique? Let's talk about this, okay? So methane emissions from paddy fields. So it isn't easy to get farmers to buy into cutting greenhouse gas emissions and other climate action goals, especially when this requires investing in new machinery. And when you invest in this new machinery, also it leads to yield losses. So the reason why farmers do not apply climate resilient agriculture to their agricultural practices is because that leads to yield losses, economic losses. Plus that also requires investment in this expensive machinery. They don't want this. But through this new technique called alternate wetting and drying, AWD, this new technique in rice cultivation, if they apply this, they can reduce methane emission by 30 to 50%. They can reduce water consumption by up to 40%. Nothing will happen to their yield. Their yield of rice will stay as it is. They will cut their water cost, water wastage. They will reduce methane emission, which is good for climate. Plus, they can also earn money by earning carbon credits. The government will give you carbon credits if you reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So if farmers reduce methane emissions by 30 to 50%, well, they will earn carbon credits. The amount of methane emissions they stop, the more carbon credits they'll get. And these carbon credits can be sold to industries for money. So why wouldn't farmers want this technique, AWD? They would, definitely. Why not? They're earning extra money. Nothing is happening to their yield. Their cost is also getting reduced. Water cost, water bill. Yes. Now, what is this technique? So, first, let's talk about rice farming issues. Why rice emits so much greenhouse gas? Conventional methods keep fields flooded for 65 days post transplanting paddy sapling to suppress weeds, creating anaerobic conditions for methanogenic microbes that produce methane. Now, methane is 28 times more potent than CO2. Okay, so if CO2 is causing some global warming, methane is causing 28 times more global warming. Okay, so methane is very dangerous, and paddy fields do emit methane because of this. India contributes 12% of global methane emissions because in India there are so many rice fields. Rice is a staple crop for majority Indians. Okay. Plus, the other bad advantage, or not a bad advantage, oxymoron, not bad advantage, the other disadvantage is that, well, paddy requires high water use, emits a lot of methane, and is resource intensive. So, it puts a strain on the resources, especially in water scarce region, where water is already not there and you are utilizing whatever water is there towards growing rice. Now, how does AWD help? Well, fields are flooded not for 65 days, for 20 days, and then dried for 6 days twice, and then flooded again, then dried, flooded again, dried. This cuts down methane emission, and this is known as alternative wetting and drying. Flooding, drying, flooding, drying. And it doesn't require that much labor also. Okay. MITI Labs Telangana study shows that AWD saves 37% water, cuts methane, maintains similar yield. So yield is there, water use is cut, greenhouse gas emissions are cut. This is as per the study of a lab in Telangana. Additional benefits: water, lower arsenic, mercury in grains, reduced pests, diseases, reduced requirement of fertilizers, pesticides, improved soil carbon. Soil also captures carbon dioxide. Now this would improve soil capture of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Win-win situation. Plus, the biggest benefit, which will encourage farmers the most, is farmers will earn carbon credits. Verified reductions generate carbon credits which can be sold to industries for net zero, because industries have this target of net zero emissions. If they can't do net zero emissions, then they have to buy these carbon credits. They'll buy it from farmers. For every 1 ton of CO2 equivalent reduced, farmers can earn $15 to $25. Okay, so per hectare, they can earn 3,000 to 4,000 rupees on carbon credits only. So it's a win-win situation. So this should be applied. So now remember this technique, AWD. It's very important. A question can be asked in your prelims. Okay, all right. Now let's quickly shift our focus to next news item, and that is Narsapuram lace craft. So this is basically art and crafts, traditional art and crafts of India. Recently, this Narsapuram lace craft was basically mentioned by Prime Minister Modi in his Mann Ki Baat speech, okay, radio program. Now in that program, he said that this lace craft made women independent. They made women contributors to Indian economy, Indian exports, okay. Plus, this particular form of craft also received GI tag. So it promotes India also, traditional Indian crafts of India. Okay. So this is the significance of this lace craft. Now let's talk about it. What is this lace craft? How did it originate? In what part of India is this craft famous? Where does the exports of this craft go to? All these things, all key details. So let's talk about this. So Narsapuram lace craft. So this is the lace craft, okay? Textile craft, embroidery basically. PM Modi praised the lace products made by self-help groups in Narsapur of West Godavari district during his 129th Mann Ki Baat broadcast. Explaining how women are majorly contributing to economic progress, the PM quoted the example of lace craft in Narsapur. Now about this lace craft, okay? So Narsapuram crochet lace craft originated in 1844 from West Godavari district, Andhra Pradesh, on Godavari river banks. It received GI tag recently and saw exports exceed 150 crore. So in financial year 2025 alone, this particular craft was exported and earned 150 crores. Good news for women of West Godavari district, right? And Indian exports as well. Now, it was introduced in 1844 by Scottish missionary Macrae and wife at Dumgudim, now in Telangana. So this craft was brought to India by colonial people during colonial rule by Scottish missionaries. Then this craft was taught to local Christian missionary women over there. Then they taught to local women over there. And since then, that craft has been preserved. So it was brought in by Scottish missionaries, given to Indian Christian missionaries, and then it was spread to that particular region. Everyone, I mean, many experts, not limited to Christian missionaries, all communities now know how to manufacture or do this craft. Okay, so this happened 150 years ago. The craft survived major historical shocks such as famines, economic depressions, Great Indian Depression, Great Depression, sustaining women's livelihood across generation. Now, this craft is not in the entire state of Andhra Pradesh. It is only limited to 19 mandals in West Godavari district and B.R. Ambedkar Konaseema district. Only this craft lies only in these two districts. Okay, only people of these two districts know about this. Okay, so remember this. Now, certain key facts about this craft: raw materials used, fine cotton, silk, rayon, synthetic yarns, then tools, crochet hooks, all these things. Technique involves looping, not important for you to remember. Design motifs, not important for you to remember. Yes, remember this, product range. So this craft is done on garments, home furnishings, accessories, dollies, bedspreads, curtains, all these things, stoles, shawls, all these things. Clear? Now, what is the significance of this craft? First of all, economic significance, especially for women of that region, making them economically empowered. So we can also say it is for women empowerment. Then it contributes to India's economy and exports. Then it is a traditional craft of India which needs to be preserved. That is why the mention by Prime Minister is a great service to this craft. Okay, that's the thing. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Now let's move on to next news item, and that is Santhali language and script. Now, Santhal tribals found in central India, Jharkhand, Odisha, West Bengal, Bihar, in that particular region, Santhal tribals. Well, it is a famous tribe. It is a huge tribe. There are so many Santhal tribals. They have their own language called Santhali language. And now, since 1925, that Santhal language also has its own script. Like for Hindi, it's Devanagari. For English, it's Latin. Similarly, Santhal language did not have its own script. But in 1925, a script was made for Santhal language as well. Okay. Now, why are we talking about this tribal language and its script? The reason is that recently, President Draupadi Murmu unveiled Constitution of India translated in Santhali language. The entire Constitution of India was written in Santhali language. So it was a great, proud moment for Santhal people. Okay. That is why it has become important for us to know about this language and its script. So let's talk about this. Okay. The Santhali language and script. So, President of India Srimati Draupadi Murmu released the Constitution of India in Santhali language on 25th December. Speaking on the occasion, the President said that it is a matter of pride and joy for all Santhali people that the Constitution of India is now available in Santhali language. The name of the script is All Chiki script. Okay, so this is the script for Santhali language. Now, Santhali people can read the Constitution of India in their own language. It will make them read and understand the Constitution. Okay, that is the significance. Now, about Santhali language. So, Santhali language is part of our 8th schedule. So, it is part of the 22 official languages of India. Okay, So it is in 8th schedule. It was included in 8th schedule through 92nd Amendment Act 2003. Is one of the most ancient living languages of India. It is spoken by significant number of tribal people, primarily Santhal tribals in Jharkhand, Odisha, West Bengal and Bihar. And some Santhal tribals had also migrated to Nepal, even Bangladesh. So this language is spoken in these areas also, in some parts of these areas, Nepal and Bangladesh. Okay, it is spoken by 7 million people. Now it belongs to Munda branch of Austroasiatic language. Okay, all Indian languages are divided into 4 families. One is Indo-Aryan. Most North Indian languages are Indo-Aryan, which includes Kashmiri, Hindi, Punjabi, Gujarati. These are Marathi, Indo-Aryan. Then there are Dravidian languages. Languages spoken in Tamil, like Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam. These are Dravidian languages. Then there is, well, Mongoloid, or let's say Indo-Burman, which is spoken in Northeast region, family of languages. And then there is Austroasiatic, which is found mostly in tribal belt of central India. Okay, so Santhal belongs to this Austroasiatic. Now this language acquired its own script, Old Chiki script, in 1925, developed by Pandit Raghunath Murmu, giving the language a written identity. Before that it was only oral tradition. So Pandit Raghunath Murmu gave this script. It looks like this, Old Chiki script. Okay, that's about it. That's all you need to know. Now let's move on to last news item, and that is Defence Acquisition Council. So you must have heard about this Defence Acquisition Council because Indian Army, Indian Navy, Indian Air Force, they all are in this modernization drive. And this modernization drive involves acquiring new weapons. Now all big weapons, big ticket weapons, big expensive weapons acquisition by Indian Defence Forces requires approval from Defence Acquisition Council. Recently, Defence Acquisition Council approved projects, approved weapons worth rupees 70,000-80,000 crores. That is why this council was in news. So what is this council? What is the role performed by this council? Let's talk about Defence Acquisition Council very quickly. Okay. So Defence Acquisition Council. So DAC has accorded acceptance of necessity for capital acquisition proposals worth 79,000 crores. So weapons worth 79,000 crores would be inducted. Okay. Now about DAC. DAC was established in 2001 post-Kargil war reform, serves as India's highest body for approving capital acquisitions. Okay. It ensures timely modernization of armed forces while prioritizing indigenous procurement under Atmanirbhar Bharat. So what is the goal of Defence Acquisition Council? Defence Acquisition Council makes sure that Indian defence forces are ready. Defence readiness. Okay. This is goal number 1. But it also wants that the weapons we have should be Indian. So Atmanirbharta is also important. That India should use its own weapons. But sometimes if you favor Atmanirbharta, well, Indian defence forces have lower quality weapons. You understand my point? So for example, India doesn't want any foreign fighter jet. India wants Indian fighter jet like Tejas and AMCA. But they would be delivered very late, right? So in the meanwhile, if Pakistan or China attacks us, we won't have any fighter jets. No. In the meanwhile, we need some fighter jets. So for that reason, well, we buy foreign fighter jets. Okay. So this goal you have to balance, this balancing act you have to do. You have to be prepared, but you have to strive towards Atmanirbharta. This balancing act is done by DAC. Okay. Now, composition of DAC, well, chairperson is Defence Minister, also known as Raksha Mantri, then members, member secretary, all these things are given in your notes. Now, what is the key role that is performed by DAC? Approval of long-term perspective plan. What is the plan for acquisition of weapons for Indian Defence Forces? That plan is approved by DAC. Acceptance of necessity. Grants approval. Acceptance of necessity means that government accepts that, let's suppose, government accepts that Rafale is necessary. Therefore, DAC approves that we should buy Rafale. Okay. So this is given. Then categorization of projects. Let's suppose a project is for fighter jets. Now DAC will say that the fighter jets that should be inducted should be completely buy Indian or buy and make Indian. Okay? You understand? Buy Indian means that, well, raw materials can be foreign sourced, but it was assembled in India and you bought it from India. Then there is normal buy. You can buy it from anywhere. Then there is buy and make, that the fighter jet should be made in India and then bought from India. You understand? This categorization is specified. And monitoring major projects, policy coordination. All these things are given in your notes, so go through that. And that would be all. With that, we conclude today's session. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure it added value to your preparation. I'm sure about it. But it will continue adding value if you are consistent and regular with this lecture series. And number two, you revise this lecture from the notes provided by us on our Telegram channel. So with the hope that you will do that, I shall take your leave with the promise of seeing you again with another set of news items. Thank you, everyone.